This is episode 2 of Launch Your Cigar Brand in 5 Steps. In episode 1, we built the foundation, your brand identity across 4 pillars, and the brand brief that captures it on one page. If you haven't watched episode 1 yet, I'd recommend starting there. The brand brief we built together is the document we're drawing from today. Everything in this episode is easier with it in front of you. Today, we're designing your logo. And I want to start by reframing what a logo actually is, because most founders approach it wrong, and that one misunderstanding costs them more time, money, and frustration than almost anything else in the brand building process. Let's talk about flags. You don't salute a flag because of the cloth it's made of. You salute it because of what it represents, the accumulated meaning of everything that flag has come to stand for. A new flag, planted in the ground for the first time, doesn't carry that meaning yet. It earns it. And a cigar brand logo works exactly the same way. On day one, your logo is just a mark. Over time, through consistent quality products, great packaging, and earned reputation, it becomes a flag worth saluting. This matters for how you approach the design process. A logo designed with the expectation that it has to carry all your brand's meaning on day one will be over-designed. Too complex, too literal, too desperate to communicate everything at once. A logo designed as a flag, clean, distinctive, built to age well and earn meaning over time, will serve your brand for decades. And if you watched episode 1, your brand personality, your positioning, and your story are the meaning the logo will eventually carry. The logo doesn't say those things. It becomes the shorthand for them. That's the relationship between identity and design. Section 2. 3 logo structures. In premium cigar branding, there are 3 logo structures, 3 fundamental ways a brand mark can be constructed. Knowing which structure is right for your brand before you brief a designer is the difference between a focused, efficient design process and an expensive series of revisions that never quite land. Structure 1. The word mark. This is your brand name, styled as the logo itself. The word is the mark. Cohiba is the most famous example in the cigar world. The word, rendered in its distinctive typeface, is the brand identity. Word marks work best when the brand name is short, visually interesting, and distinctive enough to carry a typographic treatment without needing additional support. The risk, the entire weight of your visual identity rests on the typographic execution. There is no symbol to anchor it. Structure 2. The logo mark. A symbol or emblem that stands independently of the brand name, a crest, a seal, an abstract mark, a pictorial element. Logo marks are common in ultra-premium positioning because they imply the brand is so established it doesn't need to show its name. The challenge for a new brand, a logo mark requires significant brand building before the symbol alone means anything to a consumer. Without recognition, it's just a shape. Structure 3. The combination mark, a word mark and a logo mark used together as a system. This is the right structure for most new premium cigar brands, and here's why. The word mark builds name recognition, while the symbol builds visual equity. They work in parallel. As your brand matures and your symbol gains recognition, you can use the 2 elements separately, the symbol alone on a band footer, the word mark alone on certain touch points, and eventually graduate to logo mark only usage if the brand earns it. In episode 1, we talked about generic design being the most costly mistake. It was mistake number 1 in our week 1 video. Nothing is more generic than a logo that could belong to any brand in any category. Your structure choice is your first defense against that. Section 3. Typography rules. Typography is where most cigar logo designs succeed or fail, and it's the area where the difference between a designer with premium print experience and one without becomes most visible. Let me give you the framework. Serif typefaces with the small finishing strokes on the letter forms, carry associations of classical authority, heritage, and permanence. They have dominated the premium cigar category for a reason. They communicate that a brand has been around long enough to develop traditions. Engraved-style serifs, in particular, carry an almost tactile quality that translates beautifully to embossed and foil applications on packaging. Sans serif typefaces, clean, without the finishing strokes, communicate modernity, directness, and confidence. They can work powerfully for contemporary cigar brands with a clear modern positioning, but they require extremely precise weight and spacing decisions to feel premium rather than sterile. A poorly executed sans serif logo on cigar packaging reads as discount, not modern. The margin for error is smaller. Script typefaces, the flowing handwritten styles, communicate warmth, artisanal quality, and personal touch. They can be beautiful. They are also the highest risk choice for cigar packaging because legibility degrades fastest at small scale. At cigar band size, 1.5 inches, a script logo type can become completely illegible. In Phase 1, Week 2, we talked extensively about legibility at band scale, and everything that applies to band typography applies here. If you're considering a script, test it at actual band size before you approve anything. One rule that applies regardless of typeface category: never use a free downloaded font as the final typeface for your brand logo. Free fonts are often poorly kerned, lack the full character sets needed for packaging, and may have licensing restrictions that create legal exposure. For your brand's primary typeface, invest in a licensed commercial font or commission custom lettering. This is not a place to cut costs. Section 4. Color in the logo. Color is the element most founders want to address first in logo design, and it should actually be addressed last. Here's why. A logo that only works in full color is a logo with a structural weakness. Before any color decision is made, your logo needs to work in one color, solid black on white and solid white on black. If the design falls apart without color, the design isn't finished. The one-color test reveals whether your logo's hierarchy, legibility, and visual balance are structurally sound. When you take color away, you can see whether the different elements of the logo have the right visual weight relationships, whether the brand name reads clearly, and whether the overall mark has a strong enough silhouette to be distinctive. Color enhances a well-structured logo. It cannot rescue a poorly structured one. Once your logo works in one color, the color version becomes the enhancement. For premium cigar brands, gold is the most common accent, and for good reason. It communicates luxury, heritage, and value. But gold as a print finish, hot foil on packaging, and gold as a screen color are very different things. Brief your designer to specify Pantone metallic references for the print applications, and define a separate screen gold, a warm amber, or yellow gold for digital use. A color that looks great in foil on a cigar band often looks flat and greenish on a screen without this adjustment. In episode 4 of this series, we go deep into CMYK versus Pantone color systems for cigar packaging, including metallics, special inks, and how to brief your printer. That's where the color decisions we're making in the logo design phase get translated into print specifications. Keep that in mind as you work through the logo process. Section 5. What to give a designer. The quality of what you give a designer determines the quality of what you get back. This is not about budget, it's about the clarity of the brief. I have seen founders with significant budgets get mediocre logos because the brief was vague, and founders with modest budgets get exceptional work because the brief was precise. Let me tell you exactly what a great logo brief includes. Give your designer your completed brand brief from episode 1. This is the single most valuable document you can provide. 3 to 5 visual references from any category, not necessarily cigar brands, that capture the feeling you're after. Your 3 brand personality adjectives from episode 1. The logo structure you want: word mark, logo mark, or combination mark. The technical requirements: what formats you'll need the final files in, and where the logo will be used. and your budget and timeline stated clearly up front. There are 4 things you should not give a designer because each one makes the process harder and the outcome worse. Don't say, make it look like this existing brand. It creates a legal risk and shortcuts the creative process. Don't give them a sketch you drew yourself and ask them to reproduce it. Your sketch is at best a rough directional, not a design solution. Don't say, I'll know it when I see it. That gives the designer no direction and almost always ends in expensive revisions. And don't give color preferences before you've seen black and white concepts. Color decisions made before structural decisions produce weaker logos. One more thing. Don't create deadline pressure that forces the first version to be the final version. Logo design done right requires at least 2 to 3 rounds of refinement. Bold that time into your project plan before you brief a designer. Rushing the logo is rushing the flag, and you'll be living with that flag for a long time. Section 6. The 4 quality tests. Before you approve any logo for final use, run it through 4 tests. The 1 color test. Does it hold up in solid black on white and white on black? The scale test. Does it work at 1.5 inches, band scale, and at 1/2 inch for a social media avatar? The isolation test. Does it work without any supporting text, color, or context? And the competitor test. Could this logo plausibly belong to another cigar brand? If the answer to that last question is yes, the logo isn't differentiated enough, and it's not finished. A logo that passes all 4 tests is a logo worth building a brand on. A logo that fails any one of them has more work to do, and catching that before you go to print is always cheaper than catching it after. That's episode 2 of Launch Your Cigar Brand in 5 steps. You now have the 3 logo structures, the typography framework, the 1 color first principle, what to give your designer, and 4 quality tests to run before you approve anything. Combined with the brand brief from episode 1, you have everything you need to walk into a designer relationship with complete clarity. In episode 3 next week, we take your brand identity and your logo and choose the cigar box style that brings them together on the shelf. We cover all 6 main box structures used in premium cigar packaging, how each one communicates brand tier, and the material decisions that affect both cost and perceived quality. Subscribe so you don't miss it, and the link to start a project with us is in the description below. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.